Our next story is from the South American nation of Ecuador, where the president has declared a state of emergency twice in 2 days. This is a nation of about 18 million people. It has been gripped by violence these past few days. It started over the weekend. Riots began in a prison in Ecuador's largest city. 31 people died there. And this is not a first. Ecuador's prisons are breeding grounds for gang violence between rival drug cartels. Deadly battles regularly break out there. In another violent incident, the mayor of the Ecuadorian city of Manta was assassinated on Sunday. It's anarchy in the Andean nation. And the government has asked the armed forces to bring back control. Here's a report.
Soldiers and police officers in Ecuador raided a prison yesterday. The littoral prison in one of Ecuador's largest cities, Guayaquil. Reportedly the most dangerous prison in the country. The armed forces went in to put down a riot that began on Saturday. It had already claimed 18 lives before the military went in. One person had reportedly been beheaded. An emergency was declared by President Guillermo Lasso to deal with the littoral riot. It was the second emergency he had declared in 2 days.
Let it be clear to all the terrorists. They will be defeated. Anarchism will have no place in our society. The strength of the state will be felt inside the prisons and on the streets.
By yesterday evening, the death toll had been updated to 31. Visuals were released of prisoners without shirts being tied up. Most had reportedly been without food for 3 days before the armed forces arrived.
Right now we are carrying out the operations. We are controlling the detention center here, and then we will return its administration to the institution that corresponds to it.
The authorities say they seized 9 rifles, 4 pistols, 2 revolvers, 1,000 rounds of ammunition and a grenade launcher. They seized all this from a prison, which is an accurate description of the state of prisons in Ecuador. They've been described as overpopulated torture chambers run by gangs. Prison guards are often corrupt and allow the gangs to conduct their business from within the prisons. And what is their business? Drug trafficking, mostly cocaine. Ecuador was never a cocaine-producing nation, but it has a lot of ports in the Pacific Ocean. Over the years, cocaine from major producers like Colombia and Peru made its way to Ecuador's ports. It was later shipped to the US and other cocaine markets. In the process, drug cartels left their imprint in Ecuador. They co-opted local criminals, and this resulted in the formation of hardened criminal gangs, which now operate all over the country, even from within its prisons. The gangs often clash inside the jails and leave a trail of bodies in their wake. Reports say 420 people have been killed in prison riots since 2021. Often, the victims are beheaded or burnt alive. And the government has not been able to put an end to these barbaric acts. Often, they spread out of the prisons and spill over to the streets, as in the northern city of Esmeraldas. On Monday, 15 prison guards and 2 other staffers were being held hostage at a local jail. The city's police were attacked, explosives were placed at gas stations, and several cars were burned. This came just hours after Ecuador's president had issued the first emergency of the week.
I have decreed a state of exception in Manabi, Los Rios, and the Duran canton of the province of Guayas. This state of exception will go into effect immediately, and within the articles of the decree, there is a curfew from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. the following day.
This was over the assassination of a mayor. Agustin Intriago, the mayor of Manta, was killed on Sunday. Manta is a port city that is also used by gangs to ship out drugs. Ecuador's police are still investigating the motive behind the assassination. The president declared an emergency and a curfew, but that isn't enough to stop Ecuador's descent into chaos. The emergencies are band-aid responses that don't address the bigger problems, and the government might not be able to fix things anytime soon. Lasso has said he will not take part in the upcoming election in August. He's on his way out. His successor will have to try and fix the violent mess he's leaving behind. In the 1980s, Ecuador was reportedly known as Isla de Paz, or the Island of Peace. That's compared to its drug cartel-run neighbors Colombia and Peru. Now, the gang violence and drug trafficking seem to be tearing Ecuador apart as well.